All right, so what is ChatGPT and what does it mean for marketers? We'll discuss in this week's episode. Let's go. So, welcome to this week's episode of Sneakers and Strategies. I am your host, Nick Kastner, Director of Brand and Digital Strategy at Forum Communications. I took a little break during the holidays and thought I'd be able to jump right back in, and then I had a few personal things I had to sort out. So, I apologize for not getting caught up until here at the end of January, but I think it's a good time because there's a lot going on in marketing. One, there have been a lot of really interesting layoffs because of the upcoming or existing recession. We'll see what that all means. But one of the hottest topics beyond that is ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is a chat-based, generative, pre-trained transformer. That's what ChatGPT stands for. Was introduced by OpenAI in November of 2022. It's actually a third-generation language prediction model and is capable of some really ridiculous things. So the reason it's so popular is because it's free to use. So you can actually go to OpenAI's website and you can try it for free. It's part of their testing to see what the chatbot is capable of. Now, I don't think it will be forever free, but it is currently in beta, and for that reason, you can use it for free. I've had the opportunity to do that, and we'll talk about that a little bit. So first, I want to just talk about what it's capable of. It can actively participate in discussions and generate responses in a human way. So it actually analyzes just an immense amount of data and can go as far as providing predictions on a topic. So what you do literally is you type in a question or you type in a request for the chatbot and it responds in turn. As I said, it's become very popular very quickly because it's free. And some people are saying that it can even replace human intelligence as it can provide answers to questions and responses based on prior conversations. So if you have the opportunity to use it, I would encourage you to do that because you can see really what it can do and what it can't. It can write poems. It can write stories. It can complete research on your behalf. It could share tips on a given topic. It can create ad copy. It can even write programming code for you. So what it can't do is generate a response to anything considered harmful. So it can't tell you how to build an explosive. It can't speak about violence or anything explicit. And it's also biased to be helpful and honest, so it won't tell a lie. It's also it's not entirely up to date on what's happening right now, as the last time it collected any research was 2021, and you do have to give it detailed instructions. If you don't, it won't give you the response you're looking for. So I asked it to write a blog post using 1,200 words. Well, it used exactly 1,200 words, and so it didn't even complete the last sentence. So you have to be very specific about what you're asking for. So again, just to show you how impactful this whole software, artificial intelligence, machine learning, this thing is, just this week, Microsoft announced a new investment with OpenAI, who created ChatGPT. That's multi-year, multi-billion-dollar, huge investment. And the New York Times reported that Larry Page and Sergey Brin, Google's founders, are freaking out a little bit and plan to announce over 20 artificial intelligence products of their own just this year. And they actually have spoken, there's been discussions that I've seen published where they've said, we don't want to issue anything about AI yet. We're working on AI. We don't want to release it yet. It's not ready. But the market has changed. So because of ChatGPT, Google's going to be forced to release. And so some of the things that they're talking about releasing are very interesting, but one of those is their own search chatbot, which very well may kind of leads into strategy here in a second. But also, I just want to, another weird thing that happened this week, they've actually given ChatGPT exams, like to see if it can pass the test. And just yesterday, so today is, I'm recording this on Wednesday night, just yesterday, Tuesday, it passed an MBA exam given by a professor at Wharton. So again, really interesting technology. So why does this matter as an element of strategy? Like, what does this have to do with marketing? Well, a lot of things. So this very well could be the future of search. If it can respond in real time, right? If it can up-to-date information, can respond in real time, This could be the future of search itself or voice search. So what would make that interesting is how would it provide results? So it very well, you may ask it, what are the top 5 places to stay in North Georgia? It right now would give you a response, but how would it choose? And so my greatest concern is, will artificial intelligence eventually replace something like Google? Or if Google issues their own search chatbot, will it respond in a way where you don't necessarily have results anymore, but it gives you the top 5 responses? And if so, how does it choose? Because that's going to impact marketers for decades on how we actually go to market and manage through what that looks like, because that will change SEO, search engine optimization, as we know it. 2, it can help us identify search queries. So it uses natural language and it actually predicts. So every time it writes a word, it predicts what the next word should be in that particular sentence. So if it identifies language like that, could it identify search queries for us as marketers in natural language so we can actually use that as part of our research or keyword research, key topic research in search engine marketing? It's trained to understand human language, so that could be very beneficial to marketers in a lot of really interesting ways in terms of determining what keywords we actually try to go for. Number 3 is content. So one of the things that I actually worked through when I was tinkering with ChatGPT is I was like, okay, can you tell me what are the primary reasons you would use a local HVAC provider, right? So a local heating and air provider. It wrote a 500-word essay on why you should choose a local HVAC provider. Now, can I use that content, or would I use that content? No, and we'll explain why. But I think that's a really interesting way to use the chatbot. You could actually use it to help write your initial content because it does the research for you. So if you wanted to write a blog on a given topic, it'll do the research and you can use that information because it's pulling from all over the world. So number 4, social media monitoring of language. Like it could actually, given that it can monitor natural language, it may be the tool that allows us to better measure sentiment of a given brand. So we could look at positive sentiment and negative sentiment. There are tools out there that allow us to do that now, but what if this was taken to the next level with some of these artificial intelligence tools? 5, customer service. So given that it responds in natural language, if someone is asking a very simple question, and chatbots exist now that do this, they can respond and say, based on your question, here's the response that we believe is the right answer. This thing, though, given that it responds to natural language, understands it can actually reference back to the prior question that you asked it. It may be an answer to online customer service response, or even writing frequently asked questions for a given brand. The last benefit here that I just want to mention is predictive modeling. So I mentioned earlier that it can go as far as predicting, right? So if that's true, it can predict behavior based on historical data. So if it can predict the next best word, what else can it predict? Right? There's a lot of really interesting opportunities and creative ways that this thing could be used for both good and bad, right? It's kind of creepy. It is very Terminator, if you will, right? If we just think about the capabilities of this platform, it's a little creepy in a lot of ways, but it could be used for a lot of good. Again, if the system is built to be helpful, harmless, honest, like right now it's doing the right thing, but it could be really intriguing as this technology continues to grow. You may recall that Elon Musk said that artificial intelligence would be the thing that killed us all. Let's hope that's not true. So now I want to kind of back up for a second because we talked a lot about what it's capable of. So given that it writes content, can it replace humans in copywriting? I would say not necessarily, and there are a few reasons for that. So if you have a chance, please go use ChatGPT. It's free. But language processing seems really predictable. Like if in all the content that I had it create for me, it would state its points, like it would create an initial paragraph, it would state its points, and then it would create a final paragraph, and it became very obvious like how its content was structured. So given that's the case, I don't know that a search engine a user wouldn't be able to pick out to see, oh, that was written by a chatbot. I could pick it out, so I felt like it was detectable. Research says that it's detectable. I would say that even in academic settings, there's probably going to be a way that you'll be able to detect whether or not a student kind of cheated on it if they had it write a paper for them. But I would say that I felt like I could read through all of its responses and say, oh, that was probably generated by ChatGPT. The other thing is the way that it works is that there's some discussion that chatbot content is going to be watermarked in some sort of way through like its use of words or its use of phrasing, so it can't fool search engines. If you look at the Google Webmaster Guidelines, you're not allowed to use chatbots to write content for a website. That actually violates Google's terms of service. So it is my understanding that if it has not happened yet, it will happen very soon in an update where Google will know exactly what content was created by ChatGPT, and that content will not rank. It will be considered spam. So I would be very hesitant to use ChatGPT as the only source for writing content. With that said, I went ahead and had it write a handful of articles for me, not planning on using those, but the research that it found was very insightful. And so what I will likely do is take the things that ChatGPT created, and I will send that to our copywriter, have him use the points that they made in an article, update those with real-life references, and then use that content in some way for a client. Now, I think that's the whole point of ChatGPT, is that you can use this platform to do initial research for you, to answer questions that you're curious about. I've seen people have it write all sorts of things so far. I would just encourage you to try it. So it's certainly worth the effort if you're curious about the platform. It's free to try, so it's kind of silly not to give it a shot. But I would be very hesitant to use it for any given marketing purpose. All right. So last thing I want to talk about is this weekend I'm going to my first Hawks game. I know that we typically talk about shoes. I've never been to an Atlanta Hawks game. I'm very excited about this. It was a gift from my wife for Christmas. But one of the I'm curious to see what happens on the court. Hopefully Atlanta Hawks don't fight on court or fight with coach. We shall see. But anyway, more updates on shoes to come. There are a handful of new releases that I've looked at, but again, thus far, I don't think the new release schedule has been as exciting as it has been in recent months. My daughter, I will say, did get a pair of the Air Force One Billie Eilish shoes for Christmas. She loves them, so that's that. But if I also got lucky on the sneakers app and scored those. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns about marketing, feel free to contact me at Forum. So Forum Communications is a full-service marketing agency that helps clients find their voice in a crowded marketplace. Our web address is forumspeaks.com, and feel free to contact me or use the contact form on the website. Love to talk to you about your marketing effort, and hope to see you very soon in the next episode of Sneakers and Strategies. Have a great weekend.